So good morning all of you. So I'm presenting this paper instead of Alexander Nikitin, who is one of my PhD students who unfortunately cannot come. So the title of the presentation is the fatigue crack initiation and growth on an extruded titanium alloy in gigacycle fatigue. And we will compare the initiation and the early crack growth for two loading, tension and torsion. So the plan of my presentation is, after a brief introduction, I will present you the experimental conditions and the materials, and we will see the results under the two types of loading that are investigated, and we will see the comparison between the crack initiation for the two loading modes and the comparison for the early crack growth before to conclude and to see some prospects. So as all of you know, I will do only a brief introduction since you are all experts in fatigue. Many components are designed in high cycle fatigue, for instance in automotive industry. Also in gigacycle fatigue, I will talk only about the titanium alloy used in aeronautic industry to produce the blades for the low temperature stage of the aircraft engine. And a lot of papers are published in literature about gigacycle, mainly in tension or bending, and there are a few results about torsion, and especially a few results about titanium alloy. So for instance, the comparison about the tension and torsion, crack initiation and crack growth has been done on aluminium alloy by Mayer, by Beraktar et al. On aluminium and steel, and by Xu and co-authors on steel, but I never found comparison on the titanium alloy. So the aim is to compare the crack initiation mechanism or mechanisms if they are different for the two loadings. So the material investigated is the extruded VT31 titanium alloy. This is the Russian standard. It is very close to the very well-known European standard, TE6 aluminium for vanadium. You have here the chemical composition. And the specimens are produced, are manufactured within a 10 mm diameter round bar produced by extrusion. Of course, for bigger components, the bar are very much bigger, but this material has been produced specially for the study. So the material has the following quasi-static mechanical properties. Ultimate tensile strength around 1,100 megapascal, and the yield stress around 1,000 megapascal. An interesting thing is that you can see that if you look at the hardness along the cross-section of the bar, so this is the cross-section of the bar, you can see that the hardness is more or less uniform, but if you look on the other plane containing the longitudinal axis, that is the direction of extrusion, so this is one profile of hardness. You can see that there are smaller hardness that we could discuss after during the presentation. So what about the microstructure of the material? You have here the microstructure along two different perpendicular planes. One plane here that contains the axis of the extrusion. This is these pictures. And the other side is within a cross-section perpendicular to the direction of extrusion. You can note that there is a gradient of microstructure between the surface, here this is the surface of the bar, and here this is the core of the bar. So in fact the specimen has been manufactured in this type of bar. So the interesting part for the microstructure of the specimen with the smallest cross-section is close to the core of the bar. Because here, the diameter of the specimen, I will show you later, the usual part has a diameter of 3 millimeters or 4 in torsion, but the clamping hand of the specimen has a bigger diameter, but it is not of interest for the crack initiation area. So we have to focus on this part for the initiation. And you can see here the other zoom of this part in these two directions. So some information about the experimental testing conditions. So we have designed as classically the specimen geometry in order to have the resonance frequency at 20 kHz under tension. It's a classical geometry. And the equivalent in torsion, that is more or less classic because there are several papers about that in literature. And we have tested that. Here I show you the experiments for testing with static loading, but I present only in this session experimental results under fully reversed loading. The test has been done with cooling system with dried air, with an air gun. The operating system works at 20 kHz without no pulse pause, I mean continuous loading without block. We have checked that the temperature of the specimen during the test is stable, and there is no very significant self-heating. So I show you an experiment here. There are much more details in the paper, in the proceedings. I show you one experiment under torsion with the infrared camera. So you can see here the temperature increase compared to room temperature, and you can see that whatever the stress amplitude tested, the maximum increase is lower than 10 degrees Celsius, so there is no effect of the self-heating. And the test has been stopped at 10 to the 9 cycles, either by the crack initiation detected by the drop of the resonance frequency, or because the specimen could be broken in 2 parts. An important part of the point also is that whatever the test tension or torsion, the system has been calibrated with a strain gauge glue on the specimen surface. So now what about the results? So you can see here on the left the SN curve in tension, fully reversed tension. And in order to compare to the torsion loading, we have plotted on the same diagram both the tension data that are here, the blue point, and the open symbols represent the torsion loading according to the von Mises equivalent stress. This is the classic von Mises equivalent stress amplitude. So we can see in this case that the von Mises equivalent stress is not able to unify the data, contrarily to some data in high cycle fatigue published, for instance, by Sonsino about this type of material, but in a mega cycle regime, around 2 million cycles. So in this case, it is not suitable. If we look now about the crack initiation, what we have observed is that in tension, every specimen has an internal crack initiation, never surface crack initiation, even around 6 million cycles of loading. But when we are in torsion, we observe either surface crack initiation, but most of the time subsurface or internal crack initiation, whatever the stress gradient. Of course, the maximum shear stress is at the surface, but nevertheless, we have internal crack initiation. And you can see that internal crack initiation is the majority of the broken specimen. There are only 3 specimens with a surface crack initiation. All the other has an internal crack initiation. So now if we look at that, for instance, I show you here an typical example under tension. In the gigacycle regime, you can see an internal crack initiation with a typical fish eyes. And if we zoom on the center of the fish eyes, we see no inclusion, no non-metallic inclusion. It's classic for titanium alloy. The previous speaker shows that. And we observe a typical here heterogeneity of the microstructure. If we zoom on it, we can see here alpha platelets that are typical here. You can see a microstructure of the titanium alloy, of course before any cyclic loading, and you can see here the typical at the same scale, more or less. You can see here the typical alpha platelets. So in fact, in this case, the important point is that the alpha platelets are, since this is a brittle, I mean less ductile phase than the beta one, it's a sort of a hard alpha inclusion responsible probably of the crack initiation. But we have observed no inclusion in the fish eyes. If we look again on the tension fracture surface for another specimen, always in the gigacycle regime, there is a typical here on the fracture surface, a typical butterfly wings, it's the name in literature. You can see here a scheme, and if we zoom on this zone here in the center, this is a zoom here. Of course, we see no inclusion, as I said, but we can see it's a little bit difficult to see in this slide, but we can see that there is an initiation that is at 45 degrees compared to the axial loading. So the initiation in the center of the butterfly is in mode 2, and after a very short propagation, there is a bifurcation in mode 1. So this is very close to the mechanism in high cycle regime, even if we are there in the gigacycle. But an important point is that the size of this facet perpendicular at 45 degrees to the mode 1 is very short. It's less than probably 200 micrometer. Now if we look at the torsion, you can see here two typical fracture surface. Here with the surface initiation. I do not show you because I have not a lot of time today, but we have observed also the surface here, so not the broken surface, but the cylindrical surface of the specimen. We observe a unique crack, no other arrested crack. The most interesting is this part. In this part, in torsion, we observe also a fisheye, which is not very often observed in literature. You can see here the dark area here, the fisheye, and when there is contact with the hair, the fracture surface changes, and if we look in the center, we have this zoom here. We observe a fine granular area, but without any inclusion, and we see that the crack initiation is not exactly at the surface, but probably in the middle, around 100 or 200 microns, far from the surface. If we look at another specimen, for instance this one, I forgot to write the number of cycles, but it is around 5 10 to the 8 cycles. You can see here with the scheme the crack initiation area here. So the specimen axis is here, loaded in torsion. And with this scheme you can see that you have a propagation in stage 1, so in shear, that is bigger if you compare the scale here. This size is less than 500 micrometer, so it's much longer than in tension. And if we zoom on the initiation zone, unfortunately we observe no special features of the microstructure because of the friction of the lips under fully reversed torsion. So here we cannot say that alpha platelets are responsible of the initiation. Maybe the case, but there is no physical evidence. So in this case also, I cannot say that there is a fine grain area because it's impossible to observe that. So it's very difficult to conclude. So if we want to, nevertheless, to have a look on the surface, what we can say is that under torsion, so here you have a zoom on of this area, of this yellow square here. So you can see that when the crack arrives at the surface, there is a zigzag crack propagation with alternative crack propagation between shear and mode 1. So that's why the pattern is typically in a zigzag. And an important thing also is that you can see here, I didn't put a dashed line because it's a little bit difficult to see with if I plot that on the slide, but you can see that there is a sort of a dark area here. So it means that probably the crack initiation was a little bit below the surface, and when the crack reaches the surface, there is this bifurcation between mode 2 and mode 1. So if we want to have a synthesis comparison between tension and torsion, we can see that like in a high cycle fatigue regime, the crack initiates on the plane with the maximum shear stress amplitude, that is in mode 2. And then, after a different propagation that is shorter in tension compared to the torsion loading, the crack propagates, bifurcates and propagates on the plane with the maximum normal stress amplitude. There is a clear transition, but this is classic in gigacycle test, clear transition between the subsurface propagation and then the surface crack propagation. I mean there is a difference in the color and in the roughness of the fracture pattern when the crack reaches the air. So because of the effect of our environment, the fracture pattern is very different. And the important point is also that there is no fisheyes, even in torsion, and there is no inclusion, in the fisheyes, whatever the loading. So as a conclusion, what we can say is that the crack initiation is very similar to high cycle fatigue because there is no inclusion. If I consider that hard alpha is not an inclusion. But the surface is not the crack initiation area in torsion, so up to now this is not explained because usually if we look only with a mechanical point of view, the stress distribution, we should have the crack initiation at the surface. So probably the key point is the microstructure. There is a fisheye in torsion without any inclusion, as I said, And qualitatively, we can say that the propagation is more or less the same under tension and under torsion. If we want to design for industrial application, an important point is that the von Mises equivalent stress amplitude cannot be used for this titanium alloy. It's not the case for another titanium alloy studied also by Alexander Nikitin in his PhD, but this is a forged titanium alloy. So the previous speaker talked about, no, not the previous, but the second one talked about forging. For forged titanium alloy, we can correlate tension and torsion loading, but not for this one. So if we want to progress for modeling, for proposing a very high cycle fatigue strength criterion, because up to now there is no model, I think an important point is to be able to unify tension and torsion, and also to be able to model the crack growth under torsion in the fish eyes, because up to now it's not done. Thank you for your attention.